I love our song.
I can't hear it.
Oh,
I'm sure I'll.
Pretend like you can hear.
I will, yeah.
Barry, when you're doing this later, cut out all this stuff we just did, all right? Val, play the music. Pretend like we hear music, everybody.
hear it?
And we are back. It's been 2 weeks, and I say that as if it's been a commercial break. We're back. Professionals and animal lovers show. We do the show on a bi-weekly basis now, although I've been threatened by my partner in this journey that we will be back in action more often than bi-weekly. And you know what? I believe that's probably going to happen pretty soon. What do we do here? The Professionals and Animal Lovers show. We believe the bond between animal lovers is incredibly strong. Let's support one another in business by building a compassionate network so that everyone wins.
Especially the animals.
Animals, Val. What's the shirt? What is it? Pink shirt with a big paw print on it. What is going on? What do you got?
Stop puppy mills.
Puppy mills, right on. It's funny, like, talk about Stop Puppy Mills. I mean, a little bit related. My guy Cheeto was a rescue. My guy Cheeto, that's what we call him. His name is Cheeto. But like Val's taught me a long time ago, no matter what you actually name the dog, I call him Handsome. I call him Ricky. I don't know why I call him Ricky. I go, Handsome, come on, let's go out for a walk, Ricky. And nobody knows why I call him that. In fact, I don't know why I call him that when his name is Cheeto. But if you want to learn more about that guy, Cheeto, you can check him out on Instagram, my guy Cheeto. In fact, Val, I was posting things as Tommy D, and then he was commenting on things that were going on. So my daughter said I was doing both, but I think it was really Cheeto. The show does three things for us. It does three things. It does a million things for me. I wouldn't have a dog if it wasn't for this show. But the three big ones: we learn, we educate, and we advocate. And that's why Val's pink shirt that says Stop Puppy Mills is right on. We had a bunch of call nights up here in New York, first to the legislators and then later on to Governor Hochul and the anti-puppy mill bill up here in New York. We got to win. We got a W, Val. A lot of work. We had Linda Rosenthal on our program here and Assemblymember Rosenthal from New York City. Just so much going on. And that's one of the things we do. We advocate. But I'll tell you this, I didn't know 2 years ago anything about all this stuff. I used to say, ask my friend Valerie, man, she's all about the animals. She's always protecting animals. I didn't really know this stuff. I just knew that's what Valerie was into. So talk about getting into things. Let's get into this conversation. Val, how did you meet Miley White, who is the founder and race director from, wait for it, everybody, Ultimutt. I didn't stutter, whatever, Ultimutt. How did you guys connect? I mean, there's a Southern connection here, although I will tell you this, in the virtual green room, Miley White did shout out Strong Island. She said, I'd love to see somebody from Strong Island. She didn't say Long Island. She said Strong Island, just like I like to say. There's two of us that say that way, because everybody up here laughs at me when I say it. Anyway, Val, how did you guys meet? Tell me this and let's get Miley into this conversation.
Yeah. Okay. So the first time I met Miley was at an event that we sponsored, the Canine Shop sponsored, and it was called Pups and Pride. And she was at her table and I was like, what's this? Because I love this concept so much, and I'll let her obviously describe it and how it came about. But it's a race that's kind of like a Tough Mudder style race that you can do with your dog. And if your dog is not, let's say, like up to or interested in racing, you can actually attach yourself and run the race with a sponsored dog from a local shelter, and it increases their adoption chances. And, you know, there's been some success stories. So I fell in love with her. And then after that, we spoke on the phone, and then she has these practices, and it's incredible to watch her, what she does, that she sets up like an agility course, and all these other locations happen to be right in front of our store. The last one or two, whatever. And there was a glow party, and there was all this really cool stuff, and there was a mermaid. And anyway,
Hold on.
Yeah.
I got ADHD. One of my kids sneezed on me. Now I got ADHD. Hold on a second, because I'm like every piece of dopamine in there is like firing away. Hold on. There's glow stick, and there's a mermaid, possible. And I'm going like, if I sponsor a dog and the I got to carry the dog because maybe the dog is too lazy. And then how do I run a smarter race with a dog and then not bring that dog home with me after all we had been through together? That's like my brother or sister in arms. Not bring that dog home. Like, I'm on overload. And you want me to go to this race too, Val. So now I don't know if Cheeto's getting a brother or a sister. I'm totally confused.
It's working. It's working.
Oh,
So
yeah,
anyway, so I would love to just, let Miley, I want to hear how this all began and talk about all of the phenomenal things that you do, like all of the practice runs and the money, that you raise and also help the shelter and the event itself. I mean, we're sponsoring this event very proudly, excited to be part of the vendor village. Let's go.
Hey, awesome.
Miley, before you do that, because I'm not gonna, how dare I let her get away with the shenanigans she's pulling right here on this show.
I know.
Read this. It's Canine Shop. That Val, who is this that you're referring to? And a shout out to Hef, because Hef would be like, "Go, Tommy,
Yes.
get it."
I'm working on it. I'm working my self-promotion abilities. Okay. So we are the proud owners of the Canine Shop in Greenville, South Carolina. And it is a holistic raw food pet store. And we're seeing incredible success stories with dogs who have been suffering with allergies and GI issues and all of that. We switch them onto a species appropriate diet and they do so much better. I'll talk about one dog later, but so that's who we are.
That's it. That's who they are. And if you didn't know, they're at 1320 Hampton Avenue Extension, which I learned, Suite 10B. Greenville, South Carolina. I will be down there, Val. I'm not even going to tell you. I'm just going to show up at the store one day because Cheeto only eats the food that we get at the Canine Shop. And well, that's kind of a fib because we did make a new friend on this program just about 2 weeks ago. Our friend Vasily, right, Basil, and sent me a care package from a dog. So I got to show you some pictures of it. So
nice.
Shout out to Basil and shout out to Boss Dog, Boss Cat, all the bosses in the world. All right, without further ado, I love how everything's splattered. Your colors are splattered. It looks like kind of like when, like an art situation, right? Like a museum. Tell us about
it. Like mud. Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah. It's always like interesting to hear what people bring up about Ultimutt Race because there's so many different aspects to be attracted to. You like the philanthropic things that we do. Other people like the fitness side of what we do. Other people like the fact that it's just a fun day with their dogs. So there's just so many different ways and facets about Ultimutt Race that people can connect with, but it all comes down to the beginning, which like the real beginning, which is our bond between humans and canines. And I'll tell you, this is, based on whatever you read, 11,000 to 30,000 years ago, the very first evidence between a friendship between humans and animals they thought was, I think in 1978, they found a skeleton of a person buried with a skeleton of a dog. Wow. And that person's hand was on the puppy's head, signifying a relationship between those two. And that was estimated to be 8,000 to 10,000 years old. Wow. But more recently, they found a cave in southern France, and they found fossilized footprints of a child about 8 to 10 years old beside the footprints of a wolf. And now they think that was 32,000 years old. And so obviously our friendship and our bond with animals goes back a long way. And it's the very first friendship between humans and any other species. And, not every friendship lasts, right? But ours has definitely lasted. And I think it's so impactful to think about who we are, even though there's so many different kinds of humans in the world, so many kinds of dogs. One thing that our species has had in common is that of all the obstacles we've ever faced in survival through evolutionary and environmental pressures and changes throughout all the years, we've decided that we survive better together. And for whatever reason, our species are more fit together. And if it's survival of the fittest, then we're more fit together. And I think that relationship has evolved over the decades. Obviously, if you look at where humans are the most vulnerable in law enforcement, in the military, therapy dogs, emotional support dogs, everywhere humans are the most vulnerable, there are dogs helping us out. Yes. And everywhere that there are dogs most vulnerable, it's usually humans that have created that problem. So I think we in a lot of places have failed in our relationship with dogs. And so Ultimutt Race does two things. It strengthens the bond between you and your dog as you conquer this 5K with obstacles. And it breaks the chains of other dogs that have been affected by the failures of our relationship. And so it strengthens the bond between your dog and dogs in general, between humans and canines. So that's kind of what Ultimutt Race is all about.
I love that.
And
So
Valerie, I know you're gonna have a bunch of questions, but before we do that, I just want to shout out the website, gang, so you can check it out. It's Ultimutt Race, ULTIMUTT race.com. So check that out. We're gonna hear about what's upcoming. You do have a race coming up not too long from now. In fact, I've been told that Cheeto and I might make a road trip. I can't confirm or deny any of that. And that's not because I just want to keep people on edge, just because I can't figure out if I can pull it off yet or not. But it would be a pisser if I can. I want to just underscore something. I know Val has questions. I want to just underscore what you said. It strengthens the bond with our own animal, right? Which you did such a great job of talking about the history and the legacy of that connection. What it also does though is you talked about philanthropy, and that's certainly, as the nonprofit sector connector, which is what I'm called, that's really important to me. So it's the work you're doing with these rescues and other services that you're doing. I want to hear more and more about that today through this conversation, but that's a big piece of it. So it's not just one-sided. It's not like a fun old race. Let's just do the race thing. There's so much more. You've thought so much out. So I know Val usually has 12 questions to begin with. So Val, what do you want to start with?
Well, I'll start with a basic question, but how many years does this mark, this race?
This will be the 4th year. We started in 2019, and then 2020 happened. We just had a virtual challenge that year. So we had 21, 22, and this will be 23. So this will be our 4th race.
And so I'm super curious, like, I don't know too much about agility. I like to watch it on TV when there's agility races and stuff like that, but you guys have to see this young lady in action, because part of what you get when you sign up to be a runner, a racer, is you get practice runs, and she sets them up at like different locations, and it is an amazing amount of work to me. Like, if you could talk about the equipment that you have and the setup and the actual, I don't know what they're called, like what's the zigzag thing that they go through the poles, and the one where with the ramp that teeter totters.
So I'll talk about how I kind of got into Ultimutt Race.
Yeah.
I am a certified personal trainer, and I managed 3 different fitness centers for 10 years. And a lot of me and my friends got into the Spartan and the Tough Mudder and the obstacle races. And if you run any of those, you know that those obstacles were built with a purpose, and they have names, and they have typically video tutorials to show you how to do them. And, we did those a lot. And then I thought, well, wouldn't this be fun to do with a dog? And then we kind of witnessed a lot of people pay a lot of money for personal training packages to get ready for these races. They spend a lot of hours in the gym. And I thought, well, how impactful would it be to have an obstacle course race that didn't just achieve, and overcome your personal demons, but achieved a social cause as well. And aren't we always stronger together? That's the only way you reach the epitome of, I'm as strong, I'm as muscular and fast as I possibly could be. And people think that's the top. No, there's all of those people working together to cause change. I think that's really the top. And that's kind of what we're trying to achieve. And there's certainly a lot of things to achieve in the dog world. Yes. But to the question with the specific obstacles, I think that's what sets us apart from a lot of other obstacle course races, is that all of our obstacles are purpose built, and they're designed for you and a dog to do together. You're never going to see an obstacle where just the dog performs something or just you do something. You're going over, which that's the big difference between the dog agility world. You're training your dog to do all of these obstacles as fast as they can while you tell them what to do. Ultimutt Race, you're going over the A-frame with your dog. You have to be fit just like your dog does. You're
Wow.
crawling through the mud the same
I
as your
love that.
dog is.
Yeah.
You're going through the weave poles the same as your dog is. And so it's all just meant to create that bond between you and your dog. And you really got to work together, have a good communication in order to train your dog on what to do. And those obstacle training days, the practice sessions, we call them obstacle training days, and we have them at the Noble Dog Hotel. They're our presenting sponsor, and they have been a huge supporter. I know you had Jen Hanna on your show recently, and you got the hat on. I saw it.
Hold on, pause, timeout, flag on the play. I don't have that hat. I'll trade you some of the food that Basil sent me for a hat like that. Is that fair? We can deal later on.
Or you can just pick one up the day before the race.
Oh, you know what?
They'll be out there.
So this funny because here's the thing I want to ask you, Miley, because of what you just said, and to Valerie's point about me coming down for the race, is like my buddy Sean O'Rourke has also been on this show, and you know, Sean's been on the show, and they're like, him and his wife, they're like big into this like CrossFit, and like they do like the Tough Mudder. What's the other one they do? These people are into like
Spartan.
Right now, I don't know where they are, but I'm watching some stuff there. It must have been over the weekend. Wherever they are, they're like at a conference of like people in that space. I don't know where in the country they are, but I saw them on LinkedIn, not LinkedIn, but Instagram and Facebook. Anyway, I'm not in good shape. So I'm not. Listen, you know, 6-foot-ish, 180 pounds, you know, best shape of my life. I like to joke about, you know, this body's mainly made out of ice cream and caffeine, you know, so, you know, which, hey, listen, it's lasted for 45 years. But my thing about it is like, if somebody's going to do this, you're not just going to do this as a weekend warrior. There's some planning both on the dog side and there's some planning on the human side. It sounds like, is that right?
Right. That's right. You know, when obstacle course racing just came out, I think it was at a time when America was in a recession. And usually when people don't have control over financial aspects of their life, they like to have control over what they can have control over, which you can always have control over your fitness. People had just come back from Afghanistan. They just Spartan Race kind of reformed their race to be more military style. And it was something that you could just do in a weekend. And they had the 5K format. And it was something that basically made it available for, if you haven't trained at all for the competition, you could come out and you could do it. It's always going to be more difficult if you haven't trained for it, just like any, 5K or physical event.
Sure.
And the same with our race, 75% of our people, we have a fun run and a competitive wave. 75% of our runners are fun runners. So we've got one competitive wave and then 3 fun run waves. And the only difference really is that competitive wave have the chance to win one of the championship titles. They get a trophy, they get their name on the website and a few other things. And they get a timed result. And then if they want to skip an obstacle, them or their dog, they have to perform 30 squats in order to advance forward. Now in the
Oh, listen, I don't know a lot about this, but squats suck. Like, just do the obstacle. How bad can that obstacle be that you want to do 30?
And then for the fun run, if you want to skip an obstacle, you just skip it. There's people that walk the whole race, they jog it. It's just for fun, right? Just like the name says. So anybody can really take part in the Ultimutt Race. And I'll tell you this, a lot of people do the fun run the first time they ever try it. And then they're like, you know what? I didn't know that my dog Charlie could do all these things, but he did all these things I didn't know he could do. And they come back and do the competitive wave the next year once they already kind of know what it's about. So,
you know what I loved seeing, and I witnessed this. I was standing outside with all of the dog parents and their dogs, obviously. I had my little ice cream cooler thingy. And
you're talking about at the Noble Dog Hotel obstacle training day, right?
Yes, one of the training days, right, and the glow party. And I was watching this young lady who she had recently adopted a dog from Dog Squad. Forgot the name, but she also, I believe, was with the company that came, the mobile like nail clipping company.
Okay,
but anyway, so seeing this dog who she recently adopted start on one of the pieces of equipment that were there, which was the one, it was basically 3 barriers and they grew in size. So the dog is supposed to jump over the barriers,
The
right?
hurdles, yeah.
The hurdles, yeah. So it was fascinating to me because at first this dog was just like, didn't know what to do. And she was working with a treat. And eventually she got the dog to jump over the first barrier with the treat, and then went back, did it again, then the second barrier. And by the time she was done, I'm talking within 15 minutes, this dog was like, boop, 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 right over all 3 barriers. And I was like, this is amazing, because that's a component that maybe it doesn't register at first. I didn't think of it, but your dogs are learning skills.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of high energy, large breed dogs that need to get out their energy. But
Yeah.
what we found is you've got to mentally tire them out as well.
Yes.
And Ultimutt Race and the obstacle days, perfect opportunity for that, because
Yeah.
they do have to think so hard about what to do. And
Yeah.
people, one thing I didn't expect, it's always funny because people will always message me pictures of their dogs after Ultimutt Race, just just
out.
out. And they're like these
Yeah.
huge, they're like, how did you get my husky to be tired? You know, because
Right.
they can run 100 miles and be fine, but they're
Yeah.
just, you know,
Yeah,
after Ultimutt Race.
because it is mentally enriching as well, which means
Yes.
their minds are working, and that also contributes to you know, their fatigue at the end of the night. You know
Yeah.
what I also wanted to, we have to talk about, this is what drew me so much to you. I was already fascinated by the race concept, but when I read your materials, and there's a section about your advocacy goal, and we have to talk about that. I was like, oh my God, an advocate. I love her. I'm in. So
Yeah.
I would love for you to go into what your focus is regarding what you'd like to see different.
Yeah. Well, so kind of going back to what I was saying with you know, seeing all the people that show up to a Spartan race, and they've trained and spent so much money on trying to conquer this race. And I was thinking, man, what if you know, we're sitting here carrying these 60-pound sandbags 100 meters and dropping them off where we got them from, and that's like an obstacle. And what if we were like in Honduras somewhere, and every person carried a brick and then put it here, and by the end of the race we had built somebody a house or something like that. And that was the first thought I ever had, was what if all this effort and time and sweat equity could go to building something positive and long lasting in a community that could do some positive change. And, you know, why wouldn't people want to get behind that when they're already, you know, it would have all the normal reasons you would do an obstacle race, plus it would help somebody. And with dogs, just mending that relationship. Where my heart is when you hear about these stories with dogs that are just left on chains in the backyard. We're fighting that, because the opposite of bonding with your dog on a daily basis is letting them just kind of be a yard protection or yard decoration. And you get a dog, and then, you know, life pressures take over, or whatever happens. For whatever reason, that dog doesn't experience a loving relationship every day. Or companionship at all. And that breaks my heart. I know it breaks your heart.
Yeah.
And we want to fight against, we want to bolster anti-tethering laws. That's really where my heart is. And that's where the phrase strengthening your bond, breaking the chains. See, I've got.
Wait, what do you got?
You've got a pom-pom. I've got, we want to break the chains.
Is that a real chain? You really are in great shape.
This is plastic.
Oh, it's plastic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I should have lied. I should have been like, I know, I'm so strong. Yeah. This is just one of our like representational things that we use. But, you know, the tethering laws in South Carolina have recently changed, but they differ based on city, county, and state. And there's definitely some different aspects that we want to get changed. And I thought, what if I could build an army of rescue-minded individuals that are training on a daily basis for something, and then we could point them in the right direction, educate them about what to do to cause this social change, and then to invite them to do it. Because I think a big part of why there's obviously a lot of people that I don't think anybody's going to look at a dog chained in a yard, unloved and possibly starving, and say, There's nothing wrong with that. I think everybody would have a problem with that. It's just not everybody knows what to do about it. I think that's the number one question is like, well, what can I do to help? And you feel really insignificant. But if you feel like you're part of a community and that community has steps to enact change and they're educated on how to do that, I
Yes,
think so much good could come from that. And
yes.
so we've, when you're building a dog and human obstacle course race, there's a few different phases that you need to go through. And I was so happy to meet you, Valerie, and have the conversations
Oh,
that we had, because I really,
me too.
Ultimutt doesn't have any employee. It has one employee now. Her name is Cassandra. She's awesome. She's our sponsorship coordinator, and me, and then a whole bunch of volunteers. And then the Big Heart sponsorship coordinator, Courtney Anderson, has done an amazing job getting those. We'll talk about that in a minute. The sponsored dogs from the shelter. But as you know, we just need more hands and feet. And I was just so happy to meet you and have those conversations about how to really bolster the educational side of what Ultimutt can be and can do.
So I'm working on that advocacy table. Okay, because obviously we're going to be there. We have a table. I'm ecstatic to say that I think we can staff that table and the store at the same time and still leaving my hands untied to work an advocacy table, because that is going to be, I feel, a great starting point to collect people who want to be involved. We can do live advocacy messaging. I spoke to the director of the Humane Society for South Carolina about this. She loves us too. Maybe Tommy will come down and do that if he thinks he's not in the mood to carry 60-pound bags of sand or something.
So people notice my eyes are not always direct here because I'm doing other things. I'm looking at your website, I'm doing different things. One of the things you said, like my mouth dropped and I saw Val and she was like, because of the whole thing about the bricks and building something and advocacy and all. And I had to go look at my calendar to figure out how to do this thing that I'm trying to down there, to come down. I'm like, how the hell do I do this? But Val, I gotta add to what you're saying, if I could, from an advocacy perspective. I think we have a bit of a call to action right here. Excuse me. People who are near Greer, that rhymes. Near Greer, near Greenville, give me some other cities, counties. Where should
Fountain Inn, Simpsonville, Travelers Rest, all those.
All right, so
I'll let her give the locations because I'm like, I don't know.
Miley, here's what I want to ask you. I'm going to have you rattle off a bunch of cities and counties, and here's what it is. Gang, listen, we do three things on the show. We learn, we educate, and we advocate. We're learning, we're educating, but now we got to advocate. So Val's talking about volunteers at a table that you will stand at the table and talk to a whole bunch of other animal lovers, and you will talk about ways to protect animals. So we love volunteers, hashtag 60 days of service. That's what the nonprofit sector connector is all about. In fact, 3 days left, 58, 59, and 60 will be finished within the next week and a half. Val, I'm actually going to be down in Freeport out here on Long Island, or Strong Island, as my friend Miley taught me before. But we're going to be out there, going out into the water, cleaning out the water, getting garbage. Splash. I'm going out with Splash. I'm doing a day of service with Splash with my buddy Scott Horowitz. Shout out to T.
Can we just say really fast what 60 days of service is? Because I don't know if everyone knows.
Oh, well done. Well done. Touche. I dig it. So as the nonprofit sector connector, host of Philanthropy and Focus, owner of Vanguard Benefits, which is an employee benefits agency focused on helping businesses, but mainly nonprofit organizations, attract and retain talent. As the nonprofit sector connector, I made a commitment to go out and do 60 days of volunteer service for nonprofit organizations. I'm a year and a half or so into that, and 3 days left to go, 58, 59, and 60. And I'll share here because I've shared in other places. You know what happens, Val, after we complete 60 days of service? We start at one. We start at one, and it's called hashtag 70 days of service. And then we go all the way back. So one of those days of service might be down in the South Carolina area. I do have some friends in Dunwoody, Georgia, so I might be doing some stuff down that way. So stay tuned. I think it's a show. I think it's a TV show or a YouTube show, whatever. But thanks for pointing it out. Let's go back to advocates at the table. We need people. Miley, we need people there that day. I'm sure you need volunteers in general, but volunteers with this specific mission at the point of the spear, if you will. Where should we call them out from? Where are they? Where do these people live?
Well, we have people come to Ultimutt Race from 18 different states. So honestly, if you care about this mission, then just go to our website, click the volunteer tab. And if you want to show up that day and volunteer, it's just that easy. Just click
Wow.
ultimaterace.com, click volunteer, let us know where you want to be. But we need obstacle monitors, we need water stop monitors. And then if you want to be at the table, put that in your request. And it's just that easy, guys. So we'd love to have your help.
Yeah, I love it so much. And, I could see Tommy as an obstacle. I love that one. Oh, sorry. An obstacle volunteer or the water thing. I don't know. But anyway, I will say this. I love the creativity behind this. I love the mission. I love the shelter that's benefiting from this as well. Can you talk a little bit about that, the
Yeah.
shelter that you're
Oh, yeah, I would love to. So we partner with Greenville County Animal Care, and that's the county shelter. They are the largest open intake shelter in South Carolina. They take on animals from 3 different counties, and they're always super crowded, and they have had a hard summer. And how we partner with them, we donate 10% of every race fee to the shelter. And then when people register, they have the opportunity to donate more money if they, on top of their registration, if they want to. So we donate 10% plus 100% of donations to the shelter. Often years they make more money than we do. And actually every year they've made more money than we did. And we also offer a Big Heart program, which is local businesses can pay $100, and that also goes to the shelter, to sponsor a kennel volunteer or kennel technician to select one of the kennel dogs at the shelter and take him out for a kennel-free day of exercise and positive vibes to run the Ultimutt Race with them.
I love that.
It is so great for these big, large dogs that are typically harder to adopt, and connects them with adopters that want a large active dog because they are active and hiking and running all the time, and puts them in an environment with 800 of these people. And
It's so great. That is so great. Can I just ask you a quick question about that? So first of all, are all of the sponsored dogs already committed to a person? Because I do have our social media guy who lives locally, he's in Greenville. He wants to run the race and he would like to run with a sponsored dog. So is it too late, or?
So if somebody wants to run with a sponsored dog, the shelter manages that. I think they have a couple of pieces of red tape, but they have recently launched what they call their Doggies Day Out program, which means you don't have to be an official volunteer of the shelter or go through their program. You can just call Paula Church. She's the contact up there. Just call the number to the shelter and ask for Paula. And you can request to be a volunteer that runs one of the shelter dogs, and she's keeping a list. So I'm not sure if that's full or not, but I know that we have 10 shelter sponsored dogs right now. So we need 10 people to run them. And
I think I'm going to sponsor a dog. I'd like to sponsor a dog. I would like to do that.
Yeah, girl, I have you as the 10th sponsor.
Oh,
so you better
good. Oh, so I already did it.
Also.
Okay. Yay. I didn't even remember that.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me tell you a couple things, Miley. As your new business coach, I just decided I'm going to be your business coach. 2 things. I have split personality. So as the nonprofit sector connector, I dig that the Greenville County, animal rescue services is getting a lot of dough, and that's great. But you got to get some dough. And as your business coach now, right? When Valerie wants to sponsor 2 dogs, you take 2 checks. So you take one, double the amount. We don't have we're salespeople at the end of the day. I'm from a movie called Glengarry Glen Ross. The man does not walk on the lot lest he wants to buy. That lady wants to give you her money. Take her money. All right.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. I'll sponsor another dog. Okay. And so I'm sure my husband's going to love this podcast. I'm horrible at self-promoting. I'm spending money twice. It's great.
We got a commercial. We got a great commercial. It's the extension. It's off of an extension down in Greenville, South Carolina. He knows where the store is. Get the money. Go, Val.
So I have to ask this question because I don't really think I ever have before, which is very unlike me. But just to give you a little background, Tommy and I met many moons ago at a networking event, which is what I used to run networking events, and he became a customer. And then we became great friends, obviously. But we always want to know, like, how else we can maybe help people, whether it's via introductions to a good referral source or whatever. You said you're a certified trainer. Is that what you do, like for your real job, if you will? You know what I mean?
No, I work for I have another full-time job, but really the best way that you guys can help me is just with the philanthropic side of Ultimutt. I'd love to, get more done in the way of educating our community about anti-tethering laws, and actually you already connected me with one of your friends, Janelle Gregory from the Humane Society of the United States.
Yes.
We talked today. She's doing a cost of care bill, which, she wanted me to say something to you about or talk a little bit about. But she also, Humane Society wants to have a booth at the Ultimutt Race. And I told her we have 2 left, so she needs to grab one, but I think she's going to do it and have people come by, because cost of care, she was saying she needs to pass that in South Carolina as, when dogs are taken from an abusive situation. Or for example, there was a dog fighting ring that just got broken up in Horry County in South Carolina. And those dogs have to be put up in the shelter on the taxpayers tab until the civil process is done, which could take years. And taxpayers end up paying like $350,000 was the tab on that particular case. And then the dogs they've come from dog fighting, and they really should go to a rescue that's equipped to rehabilitate those dogs. But because they spent 2 years in a shelter, they couldn't be rehabilitated. So it's just the dogs lose, the community loses, the taxpayer loses. But if we had this cost of care bill, it would charge it to the offender. And if the offender couldn't pay that month, those dogs would get put into a loving home or into a rescue that could rehab them, and the taxpayer would not have to pay all that money. So there seems to be no downside to that bill, but they're going to be taking signatures and educating people at the Ultimutt Race about that.
Fantastic.
So that's just an example of how we want to take these people that love to have fun things with their dogs and then help them help our greater relationship with dogs.
Let me jump in real quick here. It's House Bill. This is it says the South Carolina Animal Forfeiture Bill continues to advance. Your action is urgently needed. Action. House Bill 3682 and the similar bill, Senate Bill 456. So they're looking at this now. It says, please, this is March 31st, so about 4 months ago here. It says, please take action immediately if South Carolina senators do not hear from their constituents, that this could be a problem. So you gotta get out there. You gotta talk to.
So
I'm not well versed enough in this stuff, so don't.
No, you are. It's comparable to the puppy mill bill, and so that bill did not pass last legislative session, which similarly to New York, I believe ends around June-ish. But we are gearing up right now to accumulate. I call them pet avengers. I say, pet avengers assemble. Right. And so we're gearing up, and I have a list going on of, I just got a brand new employee. She's fantastic. I was talking to her a little bit about advocating, and she's like, I want to get involved. And that's the thing. The more that we talk about it, the more ears that we hit, it makes so much sense. And most people by far have never been to a local municipal meeting. They don't know who their local representatives are, and they've never called or emailed them.
They just don't know.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know folks down there in South Carolina know about this badass Yankee called Valerie. You don't play, man. We work fast.
Very intimidating. Yes. But ultimately, see, we need to create that team of Avengers who are willing to take action. And I'm already envisioning, get this, we could even do, whether it's at my store or maybe the Noble Dog will lend us a little area there, but we can all get together with as many people as possible and make targeted phone calls together. So I'm really excited.
When you and I call, we should just slow down the way we speak so it's clear for involved. You know what I'm saying? Because I'll just be talking like this, Tommy D, blah, 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 and they'll go like,
I'll work on it. I will work on it. No, but I'm also really excited. I didn't hear about the cost of care bill until I also met with Janelle for the first time. And to hear you describe it and reiterate it, which you did a great job of, warms my heart, because this is how we spread and this is how we grow.
Right. Yeah. It's just educating people on how to help, because I don't think that I think there's so many people that want to help. They just really don't know how. And
Right.
yeah, but I'm trying to think of just back on the Big Heart sponsorship. There's 10 shelter dogs this year. I just wanted to retouch on that. We had 9 shelter dogs last year. 7 of them were adopted at the race, which means they got brought out of the shelter. They had an incredible fun day running the Ultimutt Race out of the shelter, out of their little jail, running all the like treats galore, pet love, and then went home with their forever family and never went back to the shelter. And I think that's the goal. And then the other 2 dogs got adopted a few days after the race. And somebody came and saw
You're
them.
batting 1,000 from last year.
Well, really, 100% of all the Big Heart sponsored dogs that have run the Ultimutt Race have been adopted. 100%.
Here's my ask for you, right? So is it, first of all, congratulations. I saw the pom-poms, congratulations. If you guys, you can't hear the pom-poms. If you're only listening to this on a podcast, you can't hear the pom-poms. I'm telling you, there was pom-poms. All right. So Miley, so 2 things. Do they ultimately get adopted by the person who ran the race with them? Or is it sometimes, not always, right? I love that. But they have it sometimes, yes?
Sometimes, mostly it's a kennel technician that will run the shelter dog in the race. But let me tell you, there's a very important part about that too, because that program is not just for the dog. That, kennel technicians have compassion fatigue that is never ending.
Yes.
They often see a lot of sad situations, and despite their best efforts, dogs have to be euthanized. And that can get to you on a daily basis, and they've worked there for years. And so it also gives that shelter technician one day of coming out and feeling like a badass in dog rescue, because so often we feel, even though they are the Avengers and they are superheroes, they don't feel like it. They are overwhelmed with sadness, and this gives them a kennel-free day of adrenaline, endorphins, positive vibes. Their live music, food trucks, beer garden, running the race. I mean, and then all those dogs get adopted. So it's just as much for the mental and physical health of those kennel technicians as it is for the dogs. And that's why they love us so much. So
the follow-up to that, if I could, a follow-up is, first of all, I'm a little confused with a lot of this. So not the basics I get, but like, when is the race? When is the next race?
So it is, I think September the 30th.
I knew that, but I had to ask you. Now we got something totally. She's got a hat on for you.
That is not fair. I feel
Ultimutt
like I'm
Race.
cheating.
September the 30th. Okay.
So she's got one of these hats that, like, it's like basically being in Times Square. There's like messaging on. It's like it's like out, down 2 points, and the Ultimutt Race is on September 30th. So
I have hat envy.
Yeah. I got a pretty cool lid on myself, but it's got no light.
Yeah, that is a good hat. That's a good hat.
Yeah.
So, all right, September 30th. And if I want to, I can still sign up, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
In order to do that.
Absolutely. The price stays the same. Yeah, 30 more discounted prices, and then the price goes up $10. So go to ultimuttrace.com and register. And we have a fun run and a competitive wave. Pick whatever one you want. And and also,
oh my God.
with Ultimutt Race, there is live music. We've got live bands coming. We've got a beer garden. We've got 4, 5, 6 food trucks, ice cream. The vendor village is almost completely sold out. We had to revamp it so we could add more spaces, and that's almost sold out. We have paint your pet class workshops. We have harness fitting workshops by North American Canicross. We have beer stein crafting workshops with your dog. You can put your little paw in the beer stein, and Nessie's, that's Noble Dog Hotel's Nessie's Beer Garden. They're a huge supporter of ours. Noble Dog's been our supporter since they ran the race, since Jen Hanna ran the race herself in 2019 with Etta James, her pug. And so they're the real deal. But they're our main sponsor.
And yoga too, right? Yoga.
Dog yoga classes. You're right. Thank you, Val. Thank you for reminding me.
I'm stalking you.
Dog yoga classes to stretch out before and after the race. And I mean, just so much stuff. So, I mean,
I have to ask a question because, well, actually, so here's my thing. I can't help it. I'm sitting here, every story that you're telling, like when you mentioned about the dogs being tired and the husky, as soon as you said husky, I thought of a friend of mine in New York who has a husky, and she's, God bless her, she's, I think, almost 70 years old, and she does CrossFit like every single day. So I
Mhm.
have to call her and tell her about this. Then I thought of a very good friend of ours who Tommy knows very well, and we've had her on the show. She's a wonderful friend of mine. I've known her since like high school. Our friend Danny Taylor runs an organization called YOLO, YOLO Strong Foundation.
Get them down there.
They are a group of, it started off 10 years ago. They ran one race with 3 girls from school, whatever, and they raised some money for kids with cancer. Fast forward 10 years, they now have over 250 racers, and they always distribute monies to, charitable organizations. I'm wondering, is it too late? Should I ask her? I don't know if she would, I don't think she would get 250 to go from New York to this race, but she might get 25. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's whatever, it's put it out there because you never know. And the more people that know about Ultimutt, the better.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot
I
what
don't
I
know
was
why I
gonna
didn't
say.
think of that sooner. Oh,
It's
No,
all
yeah,
good. Text DT after this, Val. Text Danny Taylor.
I
Text
will.
Danny. We're putting out good vibes to you in the universe. She's doing really well. I'm watching her on LinkedIn with the real estate, man. She's got a
Yeah.
lot of, really excited for her doing that real estate. But I mean, the Morgan Center is the organization that they originally had raised money. And actually, Val, as a result of you reintroducing me to Danny, because you introduced me to Danny maybe like 10 years ago, but by doing it again, her and her organization, Team YOLO, made a donation to Horseability, where I sit on the board of directors, and it was an $8,000 donation to Horseability, which,
Yeah.
that's
Miley
nice.
White, you ever make it up here? I'm sure down in the Carolinas, you guys have some horses, but you ever make it out here, I'll take you to my farm.
Just a
On a-
few,
Okay,
just a few
awesome.
horses.
I'd
I'm
love
so,
to.
I'm so sure y'all have some horses down there. But
Yeah.
so I'm showing, if you guys are watching on Facebook, I just showed, now I'm going really fast what I'm showing, but it's the registration link. It's right on, it's right off the website, and which is ultimuttrace.com. And then you click on register, and it goes on to a whole nother like micro site that's got all this other stuff about enrolling. $55. That's all it costs to run the race. That's great. That's super.
I already told her, actually, I think the first time that we spoke
I
on the
know, it's
phone, and
cheap.
I was looking at the sponsorships, and I'm sure all the sponsors are going to want to kill me now, but I said, you're underpriced.
We know. We know. Yeah.
Everybody's business people get it. So if they got a gang, listen, if you understand, if Miley and team have to raise rates, it's because she's running a business, just like you all are running a business, like hotels and shops that sell food and vet offices. And I'm looking at all the different sponsors you have. I love this one, by the way. Shout out, you're getting free promotion here, but Paw and Order Dog Training. I love that because like choo choo, like they do on the
No, I think it's
No,
more like, ding, ding.
ding. I don't know.
I was talking to the owner of that is Drew Brashears. He's a veteran, and he is one of the trainers that came to that glow party, Valerie, and he actually helps us with all our obstacle training days. So he'll come out and help train the dogs, but he's always the person that sponsors the most shelter dogs each year. So y'all need to have him on your show. He's Drew with Paw and Order. He's really
do.
Veteran, thank you for your service, Drew. We appreciate you.
Yes.
Would love to get you on the show, Drew. Miley, if you can help us out with that,
Absolutely.
that'd be great. And look, you talk about, I know you got something about, there's so much peace, there's so much connection between us and the dogs, like you talked about. There's a veteran in my neighborhood who's training a dog right now, a service dog, and I've had conversations with him and kind of very like open and raw conversations. And it's so much that we get from these animals, and I know it. Like my wife is even just saying, we're talking about, we're going to be later this year, we're going to be away for a few days, and she was saying, I'm going to miss Cheeto. She's like, I'm really connected to Cheeto, like, and he still poops all over the house. So to be connected to someone who still poops all over your house is like, that's a pretty good connection, I guess. But before we go into what Valerie was going to say, I have to make one quick shout out. My friend Deborah over at Positive Possibilities Rescue is where we got Cheeto. And I was just Val, I don't even remember the gentleman's name, but he was on the show. He had the family pet shows. He was doing the show out at Suffolk County Community College here in Long Island. And I was there. Miley, I'm there. And we meet this little fur ball called Cheeto. And at the time, he was like this big. I'm showing everybody, sort of like the size of like a baby watermelon. He was like 5. He was like 5 pounds. Yeah, all right, a guinea pig, sure. He's like 5 pounds. Now he's very big. He's like 13.5 pounds. So I could probably on this thing, I'll just put him on my shoulder and like run through the Ultimutt Race, because like that's probably how we go. I don't know if is that legal? Because that's probably how we do it.
That's legal. Yeah, we have little Chihuahuas, little pugs. A little weenie dog ran it last year, and we have big Great Danes. Really, we had 640 runners last year, and this year we're gearing up for 800 runners and dogs. And we like to call, once you cross the finish line, you've become an Ultimutt. And so we would call, what kind of dog is Cheeto?
Cheeto, he's a crow. I'm trying to get a picture for you. If you want to see Cheeto, go to my guy Cheeto on Instagram. But he's a cross between a Brittany Spaniel, and I always make sure I don't say Britney Spears, but a mini Brittany Spaniel and a mini Cavapoo.
Okay, so he's like a spaniel poo or something like that.
I think he's got some dachshund in him. I do. I think he's
laying on the floor before. This is what he does. This is a new thing. He doesn't even lay in his. He just lays on the floor. He just kind of crashes. So like, I'm worried that is he really going to finish the race? Because I'm in incredible shape, as we talked about earlier in the program. I'm worried about Cheeto.
Well, so like if you guys cross the finish line, you know, we call them Ulta Corgis, Ulta Dachshunds, Ulta Labs. And so you guys just be Ulta Cheeto. How about
Ulta Cheeto? I love it. All right. I cannot believe what time it is, and I have to ask another question. I'm sorry. I'm jumping in because this is important. Vision wise, right? What's the ultimate goal? Like, are we going nationwide? There's a race in every state every year, or like, what are we doing?
Yeah, we kind of stayed in Greenville to kind of perfect the systems. And then once we feel like everything's firing on all cylinders, we love to click and repeat in as many states as we can and make.
I can kind of see a Strong Island race. I'm just saying.
I'm like, you know what? I'm all about that. You're doing the processes and procedures and getting it right so you could fit this thing and move around. Because what was it? The other thing, Val, we had with the dogs jump in the water and everything.
Diving.
Yeah, they got to move all that equipment around. But like, if I, for argument's sake, bought a franchise up here, right, and was like had my own stuff because I was going to do the event or whatever. Because trucking this stuff, like, I don't know why this is coming to me. I know why. I was at the Madison Square Garden the other night. And there was a picture of P.T. Barnum. We don't like circuses that abuse animals. We don't like circuses that use animals at all. No animals in the circus. Look at that. I just like had like an out of body experience for a second.
You got real angry for a minute.
I'm very angry. That wasn't me. That was Valerie. She's like. So, but we don't like those kind of circuses. But P.T. Barnum, I don't know why I was going to say that. Oh, because they put things on a train or on trucks and move it all around. That becomes difficult. But if I had all the equipment and everything here, you know, and the guy in Boston had all his equipment there, then it's less of but they own it. It's a business. They got to now go out and get sponsors and build relationships and build strategic alliances with their local rescues, right?
Miley, are you thinking of franchising? Oh, did we freeze?
I don't know. There's probably a lot of different ways that we could, go click and repeat. And we're still trying to figure that out. I'm not opposed to franchising. We've gotten a lot of requests from shelters and just citizens, mostly from Florida. They're pretty vocal. They're like, when are you coming to Florida? We probably get 5 messages a day. I think the next place we would like to go is North Carolina, just because judging from where we've got most of the people coming from might be strategically the best next places to go, because the most way that people hear about Ultimutt Race is through friends. And so North Carolina, Asheville, Georgia, we have a large.
What if I get 250 moms on Long Island to send you an email saying, please come?
Have all these phone calls on one day calling me, I'll be like, I know who this is from. Yeah, well, sure, we'll come to Long Island. I actually just went to New York to support my sister who competed in the Westminster Dog Agility Show up there. And I've got some friends that love dogs up there in Brooklyn. So yeah, would love to bring, and I saw a lot of
The
dogs.
Canine Shop will sponsor, I can guarantee that.
Yeah, we know that for sure. Shout out to Rob and Anya Tucker for sure. But the thing about it is like Valerie is new to your world down there. I mean, this is where she's from. Like, this is where our network is, certainly where I live and have always lived. I don't think I've left for more than 7 days for vacation in my whole life. Like Long Island represent. But you know what it is? It's like we got a lot of freaking people here. Like, and I'm learning in the last couple of years since Val and I started the show, which is coming up on our 2-year anniversary, like in like 3 or 4 weeks, which is crazy, with just an idea. But what I learned, like, how passionate the individuals are that are in this world, and guess what they are? They're just human beings who care about animals. They're just lawyers and doctors and people who work at 7-Eleven and people who work at gas. They're just regular people. But the point is, they would come out for something like this, especially not like we say at the beginning of the show, especially with the animals, but especially when you weave in the nonprofit and the philanthropy piece, because like it's very, very cool. So
I just want to say, I know you haven't known Tommy that long, although it probably feels like you're old friends, right? That's just how he is. But I know him pretty well, and I can almost guarantee you that right now his wheels are spinning like, how do I get the Ultimutt Race over here? Do I want to buy one, even though it's not for sale yet? When can we make this happen? What's our next step? When's our next Zoom call? Am I wrong?
No, you're right. It's which divorce attorney should I call? Because my wife will be like, oh, no, on to another thing. Like, yeah, that's it. Because that's ultimately where it crescendos. It's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. And then it's just like, oh my God, I need people on my team, right? Like implementers. I am a big idea guy, creative, love to do stuff, love to network. I'm good at step 1 and 2 and step 9 and 10. There's those numbers in the middle that I need other people on my team to get through those things. But Miley, I would be jazzed about it. And either way, I mean, Tommy D on location in South Carolina at the end of September might just have to be a thing. But I would say this though, if I was to make the trip and Cheeto was to make the trip, the thing is, I'd want to hook up with like 5 nonprofits while I'm down there. Because to me, that's like, whoa, let's knock out a bunch of days of service. Let's meet some people. Let's continue to and let's get
help you with that. I mean, we've already got 3, right? So we have the Greenville Animal Control, the shelter. We have Canine Healing Project, because Jen Hanna, Noble Dog, is like the primary sponsor. And we have also the oh my gosh, I have Dog Squad. That is a featured rescue right now for my store. The Bonji Strong Foundation. Tommy, you got to look them up. They're the ones that are.
Well, look up during the show last week or something when we were doing it. Yeah.
Yes,
well,
they're starting a wellness center for canines with cancer.
Shout out to JB, the Rogue One, because JB, here's this thing. I'm going to plant a little seed in your head. I know we got some projects we're looking at together, you, Val, and I. But how about this? I think of what I do with the nonprofit sector connector and going out and doing all this volunteering. I look at it almost as that show Dirty Jobs. That's used to Mike Rowe used to have the show Dirty Jobs.
Yeah, I love that show.
I have like a whole show like of me just going out and doing that. So JB, get your video crew together. Let me come down, do 3 or 4 episodes of that while we're in, right, Val? Like that's the thing. And then I don't need networks or whatever. I need, I am the network, right, Val? Like I already got the network. So anyway, we
have a built-in network of animal lovers also because of this show. And I'm already thinking of sponsors for the race in New York. We would have Coaches B&B right there. We have a luxury, kind of like what Jen does. Actually, exactly. Well, they don't do the other stuff like grooming or whatever, but we've got a funeral home guy. We've got like 3 mortgage companies that would sponsor. We've got lawyers. We've got, forget it. It's already sold. It's done.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. And so Miley, you still taking sponsors right now?
Yeah, there's really honestly 2 spots left. So yeah, but yeah. And we're still taking on runners. Oh, here's some stuff you get when you run the Ultimutt Race. So you've got your t-shirt.
Swag.
I'll show you this kind of stuff. We got our medal, of course, to prove that you ran it. All right, you've got your medal here.
Oh, that's cute.
You've got your dog gets a bandana. So that's pretty nice. All right. We've got all of our obstacles around it. And then, every year you run the Ultimutt Race, we've got a unique iron-on patch. And a lot of people just put them on their dog's collar to prove the bragging rights that they've done all these different
Oh,
races. So
yeah.
we've got our OG patch, and there's a theme for every year. So we've got our OG patch. That was 2021 after we were separated for COVID. We came back together and showed the support dogs gave us all through the pandemic.
Wow.
And last year we were conquering obstacles together. This is the last obstacle on the course, is called the
Yeah.
Blaze of Glory, and you jump through the fire ring with your dog. It is awesome. I know, look at his
Wait,
face.
hold on. The whole show, there is really a fire ring?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the whole thing, you're not in any danger of getting on fire, FYI. But there's an arch, and then it says, "We are Ultimutts," because when you pass through the finish line, you become an Ultimutt officially. It's on fire, and so it's called the Blaze of Glory, and that's the finish line.
I'm not arguing with you. I will not debate it, but have you seen my hair? So I'm just saying, I will not be jumping through the fire ring. However, I
It's
love the
huge.
pictures of it.
Yeah, and like some of the obstacles, we haven't really talked about that, but there's a water slide for dogs, there's an A-frame, there's a foam bubble tunnel, there's a rainbow ball tunnel you crawl through. I mean, there's some fun stuff like that, and then some more challenging stuff. But we got a river crossing this year, so people are going to be kind of crossing through the river. And to make sure people do that in the competitive wave, I've put a actual bridge troll on the bridge that you would cheat to go across. And if you want to cross his bridge, you got to pay him 50 squats, or you got to go through the water. So it's so fun.
Oh, trolls are nice in there. That's a freaking gremlin. No way. You know what? I'd be like, you know what? Honestly, Miley, 50 squats. Keep your hat. Keep all these sweat. I'm all good. Cheeto and I are gonna go over here. I'm gonna drink a Heineken Zero. I'm gonna get him a ball of ice cream. What are we
Oh
talking?
my goodness.
Oh my God.
Or
The fun run, you just
you could just also come work a table with me.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's
Sure.
true.
Drink a beer, cheer.
What, did you have something else you were gonna say, Miley? Because we both stepped on you. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, you're
Yes,
fine. I was just gonna say, yeah, don't do 50 squats, just do the fun run, because they can just cross the bridge. But yeah, for competitive wave, we got to ensure the rules are met, because if they win, then you get the trophy, you get bragging rights, you get on our website for a year. You can look at the past champions. They're on our champions tab. I will tell you something cool is we have a lot of friends at North American Canicross, and it's pretty much 3 ladies that are trying to bring the sport of cross country with your dog, which is called Canicross, to North America. They're in Georgia. And they pretty much come up and win every year. We've got one of them, the dog was featured in the Marvel TV series Hawkeye, and it was Lucky the pizza dog. And so that dog has placed in our race every year. And then we've got the winner, her dogs were in the Wakanda Forever movie. And they're also very, very fast. She runs them all over the country in different races. And so just a bunch of really cool people that come in and participate in the race.
Amazing. This is my tribe, man. This is our tribe.
You know what, man? Listen, 2 things I got to say. First of all, I'm on this North American Canicross or Canicross thing, and I just this is just a clinic in badassery. I think when you look at what these doing, like, for real. Val, she's talking about Blaze of Glory. I figured Blaze of Glory by, what is the name of your dog? Why don't you say hello to your dog right now? Because he's named after somebody who sings that song.
Shout out to Jovi.
Oh, Jovi, yeah.
I will tell you right now, though, if Jovi, like, if I ever even tried to get him, because he's a lover, he's not a racer, you know what I mean? But like, if I tried to get him to do like the army crawl thing or something, he would just roll right over onto his back and like be like belly rub time. Like he's just like not interested. But I could certainly have him participate again with a table, with the advocacy. I'll put a little bow tie on him and we'll get some like signatures or whatever we need to do. Whatever.
Yeah, awesome.
All right. Listen, Miley, this has been an incredible show. Do you want to leave anybody with anything? We know they can go to the website, ultimutt.com. Anything else you want to share with them?
I just want to say, if you think, you're not sure if your dog can do this or not, just come out and do the fun run and have a good time. My favorite thing is for people to tell me, oh, I really don't think my dog can do this. And then they come out and they try it and their dog has the time of their lives and they do too. So, you know, come out, enjoy the Finishers Festival. We've got live bands, food trucks, music. You're going to donate to a good cause and you're going to have a great time with your dog that you'll never forget. So go to ultimutrace.com. It's September the 30th and Greenville, South Carolina. And yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on the podcast. It's truly an honor. And thank you guys for all that you do, for all the advocacy for the animals and supporting professionals that are also trying to do good things in the community. That's super impactful. I don't know if you guys realize what superheroes you guys are. So
Oh my
thank you.
Well,
I thank you. You are awesome. Awesome.
I am learning to accept gratitude this year in 2023. So on behalf of Valerie and I, we say thank you for thanking us. Appreciate it. Real quick, I didn't catch the date again. Can I see the front of your hat one last time?
I'll show you again.
Oh, there they-
September the 30th.
Ah,
Perfect timing.
it was just coming up on September 30th. Guys, it's like a banner. It's like, if oh my God, I need one that says the nonprofit sector connected. We got to talk about getting that hat. All right, I with this, Val, before we say goodbye to everybody, you have anything?
Actually, I do. But I just want to say this one quick success story because it's so warm to my heart. But about 5 or 6 weeks ago, I was working with a new customer. We were messaging back and forth, and her 4-year-old German Shepherd had chronic diarrhea for 4 years of his life.
Oh.
And they went vet after vet after vet after vet, and medicine and different diets, and no one ever recommended a fresh food diet. And long story short, Orion is doing amazing. He doesn't have diarrhea anymore. He is excited about his food, and he's happy and he's healthy. So please, you know, if you're having issues and you want to talk about nutrition and trying a fresh food diet, please visit us at the Canine Shop because we really, really, really care.
That's incredible work. And, you know, and we learned on a recent episode of the Professionals and Animal Lovers show that Valerie and her clients, they share poop photos back and forth. So
all the time. Yes, send me the poop pictures.
As long as you know somebody, you never really know them until you do. All right. So I leave you with this.
Yay.
I'm LOLing right now. Oh my God. His total commitment to nonviolence, Gandhi always included the animals by stating the greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. Hug your pets, hug your friends, hug your humans. See you later. Make it a great day. Thank you.
Yay, Gandhi. Oh, my song's not playing.